I think, except for a short period of my life, amazing, we're all ex-Catholic, all Catholic. But I grew up Catholic, yeah, I was baptized and confirmed. And went to a Catholic boarding school, 4,000 feet up in the hills, lovely place. And I was in the majority. 2/3 of my class was Catholic and the rest was not Catholic. So that's probably the only time in my life I've been in a majority. And then I went to an engineering school where there were probably 3 of us out of the class of 400, probably 3 of us were Christian or Catholic of different flavors. But this was a period of time when I was really walking away from God. I defined myself as a Roman Catholic atheist because that's what they did in Northern Ireland. You couldn't be an atheist. You were either Catholic atheist or Protestant atheist. So I was probably the worst advertisement for a Christian or from someone with a Christian background. Until I got to the point of realizing, in my opinion, I was the smartest person in the world and the most miserable. And the stupid people sitting on benches with rosaries were the happiest people. And so I ought to kid myself and pretend God exists so that I could be happier like them. So it sort of went along with that. If God didn't exist, he would need to be invented. So I had to invent God for my sanity. And then I left India. I was a graduate school student in Canada, dirt poor because I faked my way out of India, and I really had $6, but I made them think I had 4,000. So I ended up in grad school, dirt poor, and started going to the Catholic Church out there, and found myself totally not at home. And really, I was trying to, as when you land in a new country, and all you got is a few dollars and no friends, you try to fit in. And actually, the best example is An American Tale. An American Tale. That movie is so good. It's so good. Or to be in America with a streets are paved with cheese. Remember that? And then one day you come into New York and there are cats. There are no cats in America, and the streets are paved with cheese. And after that, there's cats. Okay, and remember what Fievel is making friends with the first person he finds. And the first people I found in America, they were friends, but they weren't real friends. And I was trying to fit in with whatever worked. Until about a little over a year later, year and a half later, I connected, thank you Lord, with the Dartmouth Area Christian Fellowship. And that's when I found people who are real friends. And now I was seeing, this is a community that I can be part of. This is people who really love me. And at this time I was living, I bought a small piece of land about 16 miles from here. And I was living in a cabin without electricity on the side of the river. And sometimes wondering, if I cut my leg with a chainsaw or something, would anyone know? Would anyone care? Would they notice after about 5 days that I hadn't shown up to work? Okay, and I remember being on the hill above the land, and there was a beautiful white birch, and I'm holding on to this tree. I'm a real tree hugger, and saying, "Look at this! 4 years out, it was probably 3 years out of college. I had gone to America. I had a career as a windmill engineer. I was successful. I had 5 acres of land. I had a car. If my friends could see me now, then I'm saying, this is ridiculous. You've got nothing." And that was the time when God was grabbing me. And I found myself not only accepted and loved by God, but also accepted and loved by a community of people. And I found, now I've been in over 30 countries since then, and I connect with people of God all over the world. And very soon I just get knit into friendships. And I know I cannot do that outside that community of God. I know it. It's as, now sometimes you're on a subway or something, you're in a subway in Japan. Is that person a Christian? I don't know. They could be. Even if they have a spiky haircut, they could be a Christian. Okay? Maybe there are, so you play those games. Are they part of us? Are they not part of us? In the end, you can't make your choices based on what you think they're one of you or not one of you. If they're not one of you, go make them one of you. So having become a Christian and having understood our calling, which I just call, it's the Revelations 22 calling. We're all going to be together with God, with every nation, everyone. I cannot exclude people in the way I grew up excluding people. So for me, as a young Catholic, there's Catholics and everybody else. Okay? And then in college, I had this strange experience in college. As I said, just a very, very few of us surrounded by Hindus everywhere. And then there was this thing about, here we call it affirmative action. Out there it was called scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. 15 or 20% of our class were these affirmative action kids. To get into our college, engineering in India now it's 600,000, but at that time it was you had to take an exam, 60,000 took it, 2,000 got it. And so you were the guys who worked your tails off, who were very, very talented, highest grades, etc. And then you've got these kids who've been added in. Now the funny thing was that when I was the super confident guy, jock, ran 8 organizations. If I walk down the hallway and I see 10 of them coming towards me, I would walk down the middle and they would hug the sides of the hallway. Always. And it never clicked in my mind why. But they only looked underground. They were lower caste people. They couldn't even look at me. And I wasn't Hindu or anything. But their self-image was so low. And now what was affirmative action really doing for them? It was saying in one generation we're going to pull you out there and make you equal with everybody else. And today my view of that is no, these guys will not be equal, but they will help their kids with their physics homework, which they did not have that opportunity. Their parents couldn't help them with their physics homework.
Let me let's turn this, and I want to take those thoughts, the topic on exclusion and inclusion. So you can read that description from the panel and go, yeah, I sort of feel this tension, right? Like Christians have a certain identity as a group, if you were to understand Christians as a people group, and is that identity threatened? And so a lot of times when Christians view the world or culture, they view it, tendency to view it as a threatening impulse. And that's contrasted in some ways with the inclusiveness that Jesus himself showed, right? I was struck as I thought about this that, Jesus was actually accused not of being too exclusive, but of being too inclusive. That's kind of got him killed. So really, if there wasn't inclusion, there would be no redemption, right? However, what are the limits to that, right? And so I want to sort of package this all together because, again, we realize we could talk for hours on this topic. But how do you understand who we are in relation to the other? As a Christian, what does it now mean if your identity's been reoriented to include Revelation 22, but to also understand what are the boundaries of this new identity? And how do we think of ourselves? Is there a proper exclusiveness that's almost inclusive in its exclusiveness? Or how do you think about welcoming versus drawing boundaries about what it means to be Christian? who are involved in the Christian community.
Today you may have read the news, the massive earthquake in Nepal. Well, for those of you who asked, our friends are all okay, but their friends are not okay. The death toll is already 600. Now the funny thing is, this happens to me all the time. 600 dead, 1,000 dead, help. Who are you going to help? So, in one village, okay, here's the money, take the money from the school account, get them food. Who are we helping? I don't know who we're helping. Just get them food. 1 year later, I find out that the 3 Christian families in that village have now become 15 families. Now become 50 families. And this is what happened. We just did what we had to do to serve people, and God did the rest. So, are there people who God is predestined not to respond? Heck, I don't know. That's above my pay grade. I don't care. So, I'm just going to do what God tells me to do, and